Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Mythgard in Middle-earth again. The continuing adventures of Gryfflet the Hobbit as he attempts this week actually to get to the Red Maid. In fact, even to begin any of the instances which I had hoped to do last week. So, tonight we're going to go straight to it and hope that my level is high enough. So I am joined again by my team here. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here and helping me with this my greatly outmanned by myself endeavor here this evening. So we're going to okay, I guess it's not evening, it's afternoon actually. I can't even remember the time of day today. So we're gonna head back in and let's see if I can do this without getting lost today. So that's going to be my attempt. We'll see. Now I'm going to oh wait, hang on, I'm going to get creamed if I try to come through here on horseback. So, okay. So, we're going to review, and while we start off here, let me, the combat really seems to be in the hands of more competent folks. I want to go back here. Okay. What I am interested in here is the, meanwhile, while this desperate combat rages around me, I want to look at the banners of Rhudaur here. There are a couple things that I'm really interested in here. One is, we're looking at this I was looking at this last time, and of course the way that this correlates with the inscription that we keep seeing on the stone. And I was having a conversation about this with one of my listeners again. In fact, the same perspicacious listener who was so rightfully defending I forgot. I was going to do a little speed acceleration here. Every little bit helps. Anyway, so with the same perspicacious listener who was helping with who was defending the frog last time, and she was pointing out that this banner. And you can see it much more clearly in the banner than in the stone walls that I was examining before. Seems to be not a crown, but a wood. What I was mistaking when it was when we were seeing it carved on the walls, and let's see if I can find it on the walls around here. Actually, I should probably move on before those dark waters regenerate, because we have banners over here too. So my startup disk is almost full. That's fun. So anyway, so we can hang on a second. So as I'm getting killed by a Kraoth disciple here, again, if we look at the banner there, in these banners you can see it much more clearly than you could see on the walls. That it does look like a wood, and I found this very interesting. On the one hand, it would seem to be kind of disappointing because, of course, I had been thinking it was a crown, and that was kind of a fun theory. However, I actually find the whole thing this correction, which I will accept, especially you see the trunks down here, and the trunks do correlate to the number of apparent trees. But there are two things that I would say. First of all, I find it, I'm quite glad to see this, because this would seem to me to confirm my theory. Okay, no, sorry, guys, we're running. I'm coming. Sorry. This would seem to confirm my theory that these that symbol is the symbol of Rhudaur. Remember, that was my initial theory when I was looking at the symbol on the walls. That this was due to that this was an indication that we were in Rhudauran territory, that we could see the general Arnorian. Sorry, it's just the wrong thing. I'm really bad at doing multiple things at the same time. Sorry, I'm trying to turn the volume down. The combat volume is loud. Anyway, okay, so my theory was that we were seeing, the clear evidence of Rhudaur, that symbol was a specifically Rhudauran symbol, and while we were still seeing along with that the accompanying architecture of Arnorian descent. So I find this seems to me completely to confirm it. Rhudaur etymologically means the dark forest, so that they would have black trees on their banners seems to me exactly what we would expect. So it seems to me to confirm that that is in fact the symbol of Rudauer, which therefore, although I was wrong about the actual symbol, confirms the bigger picture of what I was trying to say. I would also add that if we look at those banners, I think that the construction of those trees is very suggestive. I would even go so far as to say I think it's actually supposed to suggest a crown. You see, when you see it from here, what in the banners looks like me. See, I'm not even sure. Is this exactly the same symbol, even though? Yeah, because I guess it is a similar shape with the 5 points and the sort of the stems down and what looks like the pool of blood underneath it. Boy, it does look different, though. A little bit different. Proportioned slightly differently. But anyway, where are we going? Am I headed in the right direction? Anybody have any idea? Yeah, for my oh yeah, look at that. Got straight here today. How nice. Let's head over towards the Arboretum here if we can. So anyway, I think that those, it seems to me if that is the symbol of Rudar and those are in fact the same symbols, it seems to be more that they have the literal the literal trees, that it actually is a symbol of 5 trees, but that those 5 trees are put together in order to make it look like a crown to suggest the royalty of the line of Rudauer in their battle for supremacy among the Dunedain. So that's my theory. I'm sticking with it. Like I said, if anything, I find the idea of it being sort of a combination like tree crown type thing. The proportions are definitely different on the banners. It does look much more tree-like on the banners. Anyway, okay. Having solved this crucial iconographical question at the beginning of the episode today, however, we are now ready to attempt to see if we can access the Arboretum. But first, let me not leave behind utterly my companions, who are fighting malicious gloom waters with little help from me. So now these are malicious, I see. Okay. The others are just sort of cranky, I guess, but these are actively malicious. Okay. All right. So let us see. Let's see. Now I'm going to need to... Who's shooting poor Kimley? That is so rude. I mean, here we are. He's just minding his own business. Okay. Pair of Krioth Wardens, huh? All right. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to need to... I think we have to reduce to a 3-man fellowship here. Okay, right. So that was going to be Feanor and Kimley, I believe. We're going to come with me. Again, I greatly appreciate the assistance here. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Very good. All right. Let us, let's see. Now comes the moment of truth. Will it let me into the Arboretum? My level is too low. You've got to be kidding me. Come on now. What is this with my level being too low? I'm 4 levels below the instance. Okay. It won't let me in. Okay. No problem. No problem. So what we're going to do is we've got some... I've got some other quests to handle here in the... See, I'm not able to look at tells. I can't really switch back and forth between my tabs quickly enough. So if anyone in the game wants to communicate with me, they can do so either in my ear or through my phone or something like that, because I can't really see that very dependably.
Okay, that was me. So we want to fellow back up again with all of us, and then we can go kill things.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to invite book you back into my fellowship, and I will invite my stealth healer of the past month back into the fellowship. Okay. All right. So let's see then if we can't do... I was skipping some of the side quests along here. And let's go, having begun by talking about Rudour, let's go back and see if we can't settle with some of these Rudour and Hillman, which is... Well, excuse me.
Unmuted. Muted.
Burglar.
Unmuted. Muted.
Can't just pass by a
Unmuted.
chest. Oh, wow, sturdy hides, okay. All right, there we go. Woohoo! We found some friends. So let me see if I can take some questions from the audience here. I'd be happy to try to answer some lore questions as we go through and do some of these side quests. Again, I apologize. My plans for the day have been somewhat impeded by the fact that I thought I had gotten to the critical level point that I needed to get to in order to get into that instance. I couldn't find confirmation of that. So we're going to do some other things. So let's look at our quest lines here. Okay, let's see. Right, the Fallen Oak. Okay, Gloomleaf. Yeah, I could go for Gloomleaf. He's different. Radagast had asked me to bring merciful release to Huorns and Bog Prowlers after having tried so hard not to kill any of them out in the outer swamps there. He now wants me to go through and put a bunch of them out of their misery. I can do that too. There's some bark strips from the corrupted stumps as he's continuing to try to reverse the corruption. So I got lots of things I can help Radagast with. Danasin, the ghost, is wanting us to bring vengeance to the Rudour and Hillman. I think we've got to go further out for that one. This one is, I think that one too. And then we've got ancient tokens from the Gloomwater. So okay, we got some stuff to do here. So yeah, if we head back out to the outer side. So yeah, I think we're going to want to go out back to the outer part, past the mustering horn and past the outer gates, I think, for most of the rest of these. So if one of you wants to lead the quickest way there, that'd be awesome. Then I can try to talk at the same time and not get lost, at which I am not highly skilled. So let's see, which way is the fastest way? Can we go this way? No, we're stuck here. All right, let's head this way then. Okay, is this how we came in? Yes, this is more or less how we came in. All right. Hi there, Krioth leader. Okay. Now, I don't understand exactly what the word Krioth means. These are Hillmen, I'm gathering. I'm generally understanding. But yeah, so their connection with Rudour seems a little bit indirect. I mean, Rudour fell, of course, some time ago. So again, this is another one of those sort of liberties that, there are a couple major liberties that Lotro has taken, which of course I don't really mind, and they seem like, not only important premises in the sense of the game isn't going to go very far without them, but they even seem to me perfectly sort of acceptable premises, and those are essentially that Angmar is rising again and that Rudour still exists in some sense, or at least the descendants of Rudour are now taking this moment as Angmar is rising to attempt a comeback and move back into this region. Remember, we were looking last time at the evidence that these Krioths were not in fact natives here, but that they were imports, more recent imports. So, You know, and again, this is the thing. You know, I know that there are some people. I remember before I started playing Lotro for the first time, I was sort of politely cautioned by several kind of very cautious Tolkien readers that I know that like they take some liberties with the story, and of course they do. One can't really do an adaptation without taking liberties in some sense or other with the story. You can't. It's not possible in any genre to just translate directly. There's still one left here. To just translate directly from one medium to another, as if you could simply create either whether you're doing film or whether you're doing a video game, you just sort of make Tolkien's books in some sense magically appear in a different medium. It's not how they've been set up. So you have to do some stuff. You have to be willing to make some changes. And so to me the question is not, when I'm looking at Lotro, my question is not, and really never is, have they made any changes? Or have they done anything? Rather, my question is, do their changes make any sense? Are they interesting changes? Are they thoughtful changes? The work that they've done. Does it make sense? Does it show respect for the book? Are they telling a good story? Is the story that they're telling in the game, does it fit with the book? Does it match sort of thematically? And this is one of my own sources of sort of objections, when I do have objections to the way that Tolkien's works are treated. My objections tend to be in those ways. That's why some people have asked me in the past what I think of the newer game, last year's game, the Shadows of Mordor. And I haven't played it, so I want to sort of disclaim to some extent. I haven't, I never want to say too much about it because I haven't fully experienced it myself. But everything I have heard about it, I have found extremely discouraging, because the whole premise of the game that they explain from the beginning, the entire concept of allying yourself with a spirit that enables you to sort of dominate the minds of your enemies, that's a kind of a big deal, actually, and very, very much outside the spirit of Tolkien. I mean, I honestly can't think of a premise which follows the spirit of sort of the values of Tolkien's world less or fails to follow them more spectacularly than that. And again, am I saying it should be a law that you can't do that? Well, no, but I don't like it. That's where, to me, it begins to be hard to justify. You don't have to stick to the exact plot. You don't have to, change none of the characters. But I do feel that when you step that far outside the whole sort of ethos of the books and the spirit of the world, it's much, much harder for me to justify the idea that this is still, in some sense, a Tolkien world that we're in, because that concept really runs very much counter. Except, I've said this before, the one thing that I think would sort of redeem, in my mind, still wouldn't fully redeem, but would sort of redeem the whole approach of the Shadows of Mordor would be if at the end the protagonist that you play turns into a wraith and becomes accursed. That like you've traded this to seek vengeance, and you've appeared to achieve your end, and yet in the end you find that it has all been in vain, and you have sort of merely sold your own soul. That would be kind of awesome, but it's not my understanding that that's what happens. So can we head out? I think if we go down, well, let's see, if we go down this way, can we get out this way still? Or are we too far south here? Okay. Yeah, I think we can get out this way. All right, let's go find the let's go find Gloombark. Gloombark would be a good warm-up act. Here, let me read. Go back to my plot description here. Where were we? No, down here. Okay, yes, the Fallen Oak. That's right. A Gloomleaf. Sorry, not a Grimbark and Gloomleaf. Right. Okay, right. Right. So he's a great Huorn that was corrupted and is the force stirring the other Huorns. Okay, so we've got Grimbark and we've got Gloomleaf, and the two of them are stirring up major problems here. Okay, so but the question is, how is this related to their corruption? So are these just local Huorns who have been corrupted through the corruption of the Red Maid, then, I suppose? But now their own corruption is leading to the... is now, I guess they are influencing or leading the... I'm trying to keep up with this guy who's got this Garth novice. I think he really needs to get his... okay, no, he's fine now. All right, we're good. Okay, as usual, I am grateful for my posse here. I could never survive this area on my own. And it is fun being accompanied by the constant cries of Khazad Aimenu. Baruch Khazad, Khazad Aimenu. Yes, the axes of the dwarves. The dwarves are upon you. Being firmly announced to everybody. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Karita Alexander was just talking about how she wishes she knew more about the bad guys, not because she's interested in turning bad guys into sympathetic figures, but because it's interesting to understand the why behind the conflict. Karita, I agree with that. It's one of the things that I really like about Lotro, and that's why I can so easily forgive them. When you just sneak up to a guy and then he just turns and runs right past you, it's really rude. Anyway, Karita, as I said, that's why I'm so easily able to forgive them their tendencies to sort of make stuff up, to sort of fill in the bad guys with. Okay, am I going the right way? Did I turn sideways? Okay. Yeah, again, I would say to my fellowship, please feel free to take a hand in guidance, because I don't actually know where I'm going. I mean, this is fun. I'm getting close to leveling up, so that's still worthwhile. But where exactly are we now? Okay. We're getting there. Oh, look, a white. Hi, Mr. Shambling White. Anyway, as I was responding to Karita's point, it is interesting to learn more about the bad guys. It's nice to sort of discover more of the history and more of the background. And I guess I like the Kingdom of Rude Hour. I like the. Okay, so I think we're supposed to go back this way. I took the wrong turning here. I think Mookie's trying to... Moochie, what are you trying to tell? Are you trying to tell us something, boy? Or should we get... Had Timmy fallen down the well in this direction? I think we should go this way. Okay. Yeah, I thought we needed to head more in a generally westerly direction here. Okay, so... yeah, this is where we're going here. Okay. Now we've got roots. We've got Gloomleaf up in this direction up here. We're being chased by a tree. Briefly chased by a tree. Okay, fine. But anyway, yeah. So that being able to sort of flesh out their stories a little bit more, being able to try to understand what is it that motivates them. Why have they done what they did? How do we understand all this? I do find that really very greatly enriches the story, And so it's fun. And as I think I have said before, Angmar has always been a very attractive idea to me. The idea of the kingdom of Angmar and of its witch king. In part, it may be simply that I have always found that name, the Witch King of Angmar, very sort of mythically compelling. But anyway, I always wanted to know more about Angmar and the kingdom of Angmar, and I was always like a little bit disappointed that we weren't ever getting the stories of the kingdom of Angmar. Back when I was reading Tolkien as a teenager and as a younger kid. So to some extent, being able to sort of come out here and make have this like prolonged, not only just have this campaign against the kingdom of Angmar, but even to really be learning more about it and understanding it, coming to this getting to know the peoples more, seeing what the kingdom of Angmar is like and how it's made up. Why are all these people? Who is it exactly? Who is in the kingdom of Angmar? Why do they take part in all this? I do find it really neat to discover those things. So, okay. So this is the area where we've got the corrupted bog prowlers and these Huorns, who are so much less friendly than that poor tree of lamented memory, whom I couldn't protect. You will never be forgotten, O Huorn of the Shire. Okay, so I'm gonna continue exploring these corrupted stumps. It's for your own good, Mr. Huorn. I am trying to help Radagast help you. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so there we go. How many corrupted stumps have I found? Quite a few, eh? Oh, only 6, man. All right. Excellent. As I recall, Gloomleaf is up through here. Woohoo! Fighting trees, being only a small hobbit in a large world after all, I find being at the base of an enormous twisted blood oak kind of difficult to follow. Okay. All right. So where is this Gloomleaf chap? I can't help but think of Leaflock and Skinbark, of course. Must be him, right? Yes. Yeah, this is him. All right. Yeah, I mean, I do think that the names here are meant to evoke the names of the Great Ents. Not Fangorn so much, not Treebeard himself, but Leaflock and Skinbark in particular. We have, Grimbark and Gloomleaf, which again seems to me very, very deliberately evocative. Okay, let's head back to the camp, and I'll turn in the quests the side quests that I finished. We've handled a bunch of these Rudauran knaves, and I've taken care of Gloomleaf here. Well, I've taken care of Gloomleaf. I actually did lift a finger, but it was only one finger. So all credit to my stalwart team here for their assistance with that. And now the challenge is, what is attacking me? Why am I in combat mode? Who's fighting here? Anyway. Okay, let's see if I can find the correct path back down to... if I can find the correct path back down to the camp to find... Oh, I'm being chased by a tree. You'll never catch me, tree. something very Adventures of Tom Bombadil about being chased by a tree. I mean, I know the tree didn't actually chase Tom Bombadil; it just trapped him. But still, I find it. There's something in it that just does remind me of Tom Bombadil. Okay, I've got bog prowers. I've got horns. Yeah, come say that to my face, Mr. Camouflaged bog prower. Well, I can be really reckless when I have when I've got backers like this. Okay. All right. Thought we'd teach you a lesson there. Okay. Woo-hoo. All right. I leveled up. Oh, I just got a new deed open to me. That's encouraging. All right. I'm going to... Oh, good. I finished that one too. All right. So now let me see if we can head back, and I'll turn in these quests, and if that gets me closer to level 30, no harm done. All right. Hey, I found the door the first time this time. Look at that. Let's ride. Okay, so I'm turning in my quests up here, and then we'll see. So yes, thank you for bearing with me in my little my little side adventures here today. I'm having to improvise as my plan has gone astray. No, not you, but you. You has. Oh yeah, sorry. Nope, stop. God. Whoa. Accidentally clicked on the door instead of the ghost. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Sure, you'll discover the... Right, you're looking for evidence in their satchels, right? Yeah, okay. Right. Vengeance comes. You're drawing closer to absolution, right? One against the foes who shackle the red maid in bonds of innocent blood. Okay, so we're... Oh, right. I need a reward. Let's have a helm. Okay, very good. I don't know if I'll need these quests, but how about I collect them? Arthedain's lost brethren. Okay. Very good. Let me go talk to Radagast. I need to tell Radagast about Gloomleaf and maybe a high defender of Oscaruth. You are not very talkative. And how is my friend the frog today, sir? Are you well? Good to see you today. And the rabbit still staying a very sensible distance away from the fox who's lying up here behind Radagast. Excellent. Hi, Radagast. I settled Gloomleaf for you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. The Mace of the Brown Wizard. The Band of the Brown Wizard. Okay, plus 18 vitality. That sounds like fun. The Tainted Living.
You have done well.
Okay. Oh, right, yeah. The Corrupted Stumps. Okay. Good. All right, so I'm now level 29, and I'm 2/3 of the way to level 30, and let's see if we can't head back in. All right. Okay, everybody. Excellent. Let's head back in. See if we can find... Actually, hang on a second. Okay, still don't see anything in my instance finder, which is not encouraging, but that's okay. All right. You know, one of the stories that I find kind of interesting here is that you'll notice that with Radagast, of course, we are fighting on the side of the Agline. Remember how defensive Radagast is about the Agline, right? He's like, the Agline haven't done any harm, and I'm like, okay, Radagast, calm down. But anyways, he's very defensive about the Agline, and he clearly supports them, very much, and that's all good. But of course, it is an interesting thing that the story never mentions. As we pointed out, these are plainly Rudauran ruins. This is not the native, the Agline themselves are interlopers. They seem to be a sort of a wandering folk who have settled here in these perfectly hospitable ruins. Well, okay, not these ruins, which are not especially hospitable, but the ruins of Oscaruth, which are much more hospitable. But that's that's traditional. It's a Rudauran fortress. So it's not real hard to make the argument that the Creoths here have a much better claim to this land and these places than the Agline themselves do. So it's that's and especially since the Agline are kind of separate from all of these things, right? We have the desire of the descendants of Arthedain, Denassin and the other oath-breaking ghosts with no mandibles, to redeem themselves and to restore their honor that they lost by restoring and defending the Red Maid, which they failed to do in life. So we have and Tom Bombadil himself gave them that charge and laid that curse upon them. So obviously, it's a good thing, and it's good for us to be helping them. But nobody ever even says well, this kind of was the land of Rudauer before. The Creoths have a kind of claim here, actually. So that's I can't help but think that's a little bit interesting. I also can't help but wonder why it is that the novices are the toughest members of the Creoths here, at least in the outer gates. That never really made a particular lot of sense to me. So, okay, we're almost back here. Going in here, and then we'll zig around here, and we'll zag around there. Okay. Are we good? Yeah, we still got a novice running back and forth. Okay. A guardian valiantly attempting to retain the attention of the Crith. Yeah, come on, I'll take you, Toad. Alright, fine. I'll have help. Boy, you would just destroy me if I were completely on my own. Okay, so other questions? Other questions? All right. Like I said, I would be happy to address some other issues today. I am. I remain, as I sort of talked about before, really interested in the fact that they chose Tom Bombadil for a role here. I mean, one of the things that's sort of most conspicuous about the presence of Tom Bombadil in the Fellowship of the Ring is, you get Tom Bombadil, and he seems completely out of keeping. There are many who consider Tom Bombadil a blemish in the book. I'm not one of them. I'm a big Tom Bombadil fan. But there's no getting around the fact that he doesn't really comfortably fit in with the rest of the story. And he's even described as being actually geographically isolated. That is, in the sense that he doesn't leave his little patch of... he doesn't leave his little patch of forest. But here we see him not only taking an interest in the affairs of the outside world, but of actually venturing, presumably actually coming out here to this place, and being involved with the wars between Rudour and Arthedain. One more point on that in a second, but look at this. Okay, so here is a really interesting example. See why I think that looks like a crown? It's the look how the top of this middle structure is larger than the ones below it. Like it doesn't just have the gradual decrease of size like a normal pine tree. Again, I'm not questioning it. We can clearly see the trunks here, but I think that's why I'm thinking this is a deliberately stylized sort of forest crown showing the supremacy of Rudour. Okay, collect shields of Arthedain. All right, I may or may not do that. Excellent. I will collect your quests in case I need them. If I am still not deemed to be of high enough level to enter the Arboretum. Collect relics from Rudour. Okay, we're gonna now pawn stuff from Rudour. That sounds good. Okay. Once more, in amongst the gloom waters. Now, notice the gloom waters. Remember, over by the Arboretum were called malicious gloom waters, and here they're dreadful and wretched gloom waters. And the use of the word wretched here strikes me as a particularly Tolkienian usage. Again, I love the fact that they. It's just one of the many things that I, point to in the attention to detail that the Lotor people give, that I find so charming, is their use of very typically Tolkienian vocabulary. It is certainly. It is certainly true that, again, they've made lots of changes and everything, but wretched is such an important Tolkien word. The idea that those who are evil, that you see the sort of the moral dynamics of Garth Agarwen here, right? Those who are evil because they are corrupt, and those who are corrupt are wretched. You see. It's not a question of like stamping out evil. Danasin might want vengeance, but that's not the way that the overall sort of structure of things works here. What we're here to do is reclaim the Red Maid, not destroy her. And we're here to we would even restore or reclaim the people of Rudour if we could. The kingdom of Rudour itself is not an evil kingdom. It is still in itself tragic, because it was one of the kingdoms of the Dunedain that fell under the sway of Angmar. So again, even that is I think it's as Gandalf would say, a sad story, rather than the otherwise. And that's what I wanted to say about Tom Bombadil too, because you remember that passage. If you remember the Fellowship of the Ring well, you'll remember that when they get out of the barrow, when Tom rescues them from the barrow, there are a couple really sort of tantalizing touches that Tolkien never explains. The narrative itself never explains. You remember, for instance, so you may remember these 2 points. First, he finds that brooch, right? And that some woman had worn, and he says, "Fair was she who wore this upon her shoulder. Goldberry will wear it now, and we will not, and we will not forget her." We never find out who she was. Tom Bombadil obviously knows some story behind this, but we have no idea. We have no idea what that story was, and I find that really tantalizing and really fascinating. So, not only that, but then later on, they come to a place where there's a wall. A stone wall, and the narrator tells us that Tom, for a moment, looked as if he remembered something sad in connection with that wall. And the sad thing that I think, it's pretty clear is the thing that Tom remembers, is the division of the kingdoms of the Dunedain. That wall is, I believe, the boundary between the kingdom of Arthedain and the kingdom of Cardowen that they're crossing over with Tom Bombadil. So Tom remembers. I mean, he knows he knows many things, and one of the things that we see is that he remembers the kingdoms of the Dunedain, and is saddened not just by like the evil done by the horrible people of Rudaur, but by the fact that the Northern Kingdom was divided, and so he's able to look at things from the perspective of actually. I hate it when the waters go underwater like this. Why are you prolonging your own agony? Anyway, it's he's able to remember that the very existence of the three separate kingdoms is itself tragic. Hey, actually, I'm like one gloom water away from level 30, so why don't we just go there? Put this malicious gloom water, who is presumably also wretched, out of his misery. This guy who is presumably some kind of lesser water spirit. Woohoo! Alright. Oh, it's Bilbo's birthday, and I'm being invited to go to Evendim. Okay. I'm going to Evendim eventually, not today. Yes, we're not going to do the Baggins' birthday quest, but of course it is almost Bilbo's birthday. Hang on, I got a new skill. What's this? Hide in plain sight. Briefly undetectable in stealth, stealth not broken by damage. Okay. I can see that coming in handy someday. Alright, now I'm level 30. Surely the Arboretum will let me in. How is it? My level is too... I'm level 30 for a level 32 quest. I do not understand the problem here.
Try disbanding the fellowship and only fellowing with 3 people.
Okay, let's see if... maybe it has to do with our fellowship. This is a 3-man fellowship group, so let me take my faithful guardian. Big fan of guardians. My original character, Wigand, whom I... still play with the Mythgard kin, is a guardian, so I have great affection and respect for guardians. Alright, let's see. No, it won't. My level's too low. I don't get it. Don't get it. I guess I have to be level 32, which is shocking and sad. Oh well. In that case, let me... How much time do we have left? Okay. We still have a little bit of time. We don't have any hunters in the group, do we? Okay, let's see, yeah. Fëanor, let's see. You think you might be able to sneak me in, right? Okay, I'll transfer leadership to you, see if the level 35 person goes in, if I'll be permitted. Ooh! How about that? Oh, it's like sneaking me into the movie theater. That's awesome. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, see, look at that. I learn something new every day. All right. Hooray! Excellent. Thank you, Fëanor. That was a great suggestion. Now, let's find this tree. Let's find Grimbark. As I recall, isn't there a simply enormous bog brower in here somewhere? Quite near the opening? Okay. Meanwhile, okay, so this is the Arboretum. So this was what? A park? That's what we're to understand this was? Alright, so we have some nice, like, little benches to sit on here, right? When one isn't in combat. Lurking bog power. You guys are doing great. Thank you very much. That's excellent. Okay. Let's see, what's the fastest way to Grimbark? We should go up this way. Alright, we've got wretched gloom waters. And whites. Okay, so we've got bog prowlers, whites, and gloom waters. These sad, sad spirits of the water. Okay. This is the... Yes! Oh, it's Rotheart. Oh dear. And Rotheart is threatening to completely take me out. Alright. Rotheart is quite remarkably large. Okay. I'd better help in a 3-man or else this isn't going to go too well. Very good. Very good. Well, actually, speaking of, as I was just reminded, of course, when I leveled up, about the celebration of Bilbo's birthday. I'm going to be hosting a celebration of Bilbo's birthday with my companions at Signum University and the Mythgard Institute. We are actually doing our annual fall fundraiser, for which we do lots of extra special events and really fun things. We've got some really fun events planned this year. We're going to be talking all about it on Hobbit Day, on Bilbo's birthday. So that's going to be fun. I'm especially excited. We have several fun Lotro events planned. I'm going to be doing these events not with Gryfflet, but with Wigand, my guardian, who's significantly higher level. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a stream in which we're going to be visiting some famous places in Middle-earth. The event is going to be called Where in Middle-earth is Wigand, and we're going to be looking at, we're going to be sort of doing a sort of a whistle-stop tour of really fun places, looking at how Lotro has depicted certain famous scenes or certain sort of prominent moments in Middle-earth history. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to do 2 of these events, one in the middle of October and then the other at the end during our traditional day-long webathon, which will be on Halloween this year. And for that one, I'm especially looking forward to the second one because for the second one, I'm going to be touring places. I'm going to be looking at really fun places the first time, but the second time, I'm going to be touring places I've never actually been before at all. So I'll be seeing them in game for the first time at that event, which I've been looking forward to for a really long time. So anyway, this will be that will be especially fun. We'll keep you posted about the about our schedule for events as we move forward. But we do have the upcoming Tuesday event where we're going to be doing readings and Tolkien trivia contests with prizes and lots of fun things in celebration of Bilbo's birthday. So. Okay, now these whites are twisted. That is so sad. These are twisted. The other one was bloated. I wonder. It must have been Ivar's sigildry that led to the horrible twisting of these whites. I wonder if we'll find a white factory. Presumably not in the Arboretum. Okay. I hope we'll be able to get Grimbark. Okay. Defeat Grimbark, but do not destroy the beehives. Oh, what a curious instruction. Okay. Alright, we've got more Gloom Waters. This must have been a fascinating place back before it got twisted and corrupted. That is to say, it's interesting. This is not designed as an open park, but as a closed annex. That's why it's called an arboretum. with all of these different twists and turns and private places with little benches and everything. It's interesting to imagine back. I wonder if this arboretum was built by the people of Rudour, or if it was built by by Arnor before the fall, before the rebellion of Rudour. The reason I wonder that in particular, tomb, yeah, tomb with the forest crown thing going on there. Yeah, we got a king of Rudour here. But the reason I'm curious about that, that is, if this arboretum was established by the kingdom of Rudour, is it sort of suggests something about the life of the kingdom of Rudour, right? That is, again, it's so easy to sort of imagine the evil, the bad kingdoms, the kingdoms of the evil people, as just evil all the time. Like the people of Rudour just spent all of their time, kicking puppies and knocking small children over, and that's just kind of all they did. But the idea, I like the idea that they constructed this arboretum for two reasons. One, because it shows that they themselves had this sort of appreciation of beauty. That this must have been a place of fairly remarkable natural wonder and all these different paths to wander through and everything. It's really great, and it suggests a love of forests and a love of nature. Which has been, but it too has been corrupted. So you see that even the people of Rudour themselves have been corrupted. So, okay, so he has beehives, which we're supposed to not destroy. Okay. Let's have a go at not destroying that. I can't see a darn thing. Okay, so Grimbark doesn't really look different from the other. He's just bigger. All right, fair enough. The most twisted of all the twisted trees. Is he a twisted Huorn? I suppose he's not an Ent. He's clearly depicted as a Huorn that is fully tree-shaped, rather than being Entish and merely resembling a tree. But anyway, like I say, it's very the idea that the people of Rudour, allied with Angmar though they were, are themselves, in a very clear sense, the victims. Is that to me is it makes it a much more interesting story, and again, it seems much more in keeping with Tolkien's world in general, where most of the time, the bad guys are not, just sort of caricatures of vice and wickedness. Oops, we accidentally did. Who destroyed the beehive? But again, even the bad guys have complicated stories, and nothing is evil in the beginning. Even Sauron wasn't so, as Elrond says. But I should possibly heal myself, or it's possibly too late. I should pay attention to the combat in which I am sitting. It's okay. I can. I'm just going to observe here my teammates' continued desperate struggle with Grimbark. Oops. That's okay. I shall posthumously cheer on the destruction of Grimbark, assuming we reach that point. Yeah, very good. Okay. I don't know. You guys got it. I can. It just makes it easier to talk. So anyway, like I said, I do like the idea of the corruption of Rudour. And what I was saying, okay, that's right. What I was saying was, Tolkien very rarely just, oops, we're all dying. Not good. Only our valiant guardian is left. Oh, I know that feeling. Can I come back in? Oh, she's not going to make it. She's not going to make it. Yep, she didn't make it. Okay, let's have another go. Let's have another go at Grimbark here. Fortunately, this is an instance. All these whites and gloom waters we already went through aren't regenning, so I can just run through. Go back to Grimbark, and we'll have another go, perhaps with slightly more concentration on my part. But just to finish my thought, the one place where we did, where you, oh, I'm getting sucked in by Grimbark. I don't want to fight you by myself, particularly. Wow, your bees are powerful. That was amazing. Okay, let me not turn that corner at all. Oh, we failed the quest. We have to start the instance. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, let's leave the instance. Oh well. Grimbark yet eludes me. We'll try one more time. Did you see how Grimbark infuriates the bees? That's the verb that we got. He just stirs the bees to madness. All right. Let's try again. All right. Okay, well, yeah, we've got the challenge to not destroy the beehives, but I think I can still succeed in the quest even without succeeding in the challenge. All right, we'll try one more time to defeat Grimbark here in the Arboretum. All right. Okay, so I should be flanking people more. I'm a burglar after all, right? Well, anyway, what I was saying before Grimbark so rudely killed me again was that there was one exception to that rule that I was just describing about how Tolkien is so good at depicting enemies and, antagonists who are interesting characters with interesting stories, and often, whom we can see or at least understand to have gone bad, through some sort of understandable way. They have fallen in some sense, and there's usually an element of tragedy associated with that. But with there's one exception, one very significant exception to that rule, and that is the orcs as a race. And it's one of the reasons why Tolkien was himself so dissatisfied with the orcs in his later years, and why he was sort of reconsidering how that was meant to be working and the origin story for the orcs. Okay. I forgot to eat before I went into combat. Oh well. Once again, I just seem to never learn my lesson about paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay. Let's see if I can manage to stay alive this time. That, I assume, would be a big help. Here we are, locked in combat with Grimbark. Okay. It's hard to imagine how I could really do much damage to a tree with a dagger, much less with corn stalks, so it's really presumably a good thing that I'm not attempting that. I have to say, that attack that the Huorns do, where they, and the Bog Prowlers do it too, where they make this root stab upward through your entire body from the ground, really looks like it should do more damage than it does. I have to admit. Okay. Alright, Grimbark, we are slowly wearing you down, Grimbark. Also, I'm not quite sure where the back of the tree is, right? If I'm supposed to be sneaking up on the tree from behind, I'm just hoping he's paying, the tree retains enough sense to pay more attention to the guardian over there than to me. In which case, I'm presumably flanking it in some sense, but trees just don't have very prominent flanks, exactly. So it's a little hard to tell. Okay, we're more than halfway. Now, how are we supposed to understand Grimbark shaking uncontrollably? Like, what exactly is that about? Is he shaking with fear at the sight of my wrath? That I could understand. That seems like a perfectly sensible thing for him to be doing. But I rather doubt that that's actually what he's doing. And yet it describes him as shaking uncontrollably, right? Not just shakes, noticeably or decisively or something like that. No. It's uncontrollably that poor Grimbark is shaking, which suggests that it really probably is fear, and presumably at me. So I am wearing my intimidating ninja outfit, and he probably has not been attacked by a hobbit ninja with a club in a couple minutes. So I can see why it puts him out of countenance. Not that he has much of a countenance either, any more than a flank, really. I can't help but think also, of course, as we're fighting this tree, what would Treebeard say? Which I think is a non-trivial question, by the way. That is, Treebeard seems perfectly cognizant of the fact that some of the trees, even in his own forest, are what even he would consider evil. That they have fallen into darkness. That there are, he talks about the darkness lying still upon some parts of his country. So again, one does not get the sense that he approves of the ways that they carry on, and yet he doesn't stamp them out. It's one of the several things that Tom Bombadil and Treebeard actually have in common fairly consistently, and that is they're neither one of them very proactive about the extirpation of evil. Both of them live in places that are dark places, that are surrounded by by evil. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, he was so close. We had him. Oh, Grimbark. We lost our healer and we went down. The classic story. All right. Well, I think I'm going to have to call it. I don't think we have time to fight Grimbark a third time today. Boy, today has been an ill-fated day. Man. As first I was excluded from Grimbark's company, and then I was defeated by him handily once and barely a second time. Drat. Oh, well. Very, very sad. That was really, really close. Well, this just goes to show you don't win them all in Lotro, and I will say, I always prefer to do the Lotro instances on level. There's a certain satisfaction to be gained from going through when you're over level and just squashing everything like bugs, but I've never really enjoyed that. I always like to be on level and to have it be a challenge, and when it's a challenge, one is always at risk of dying horribly and failing. So I think we've had about enough of the Arboretum for today. Next time, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Ivar and the Red Maid. We are going to complete these instances next time. I swear it. I am so invested in purging Garth Agarwen and cleansing the Red Maid. For Tom Bombadil and for Goldberry and for Radagast, all of the most charming characters the most charming minor characters in the Fellowship of the Ring are all gathering together to exhort us to help the Red Maid. So darn it, we're going to do that. No matter what it takes, Gryfflet will get it done. So anyway, thank you for joining me as I am comically thwarted in almost all I attempt to do today. But nevertheless, we shall carry on. So next week, Ivar and the Red Maid, no matter what happens. And we will do that, and then we'll be heading out towards the North Downs into an entirely new location next time. We will explore new realms in the town of Trestlebridge, of which I am a big fan. We should be able to get to Trestlebridge and to looking at Trestlebridge next time. So anyway, thank you all for joining me today, and I hope we will have a slightly more auspicious trip next week, but you can't win them all. All right, thanks everybody. See you guys next week. Bye now.